Welcome back to Daily Connections. When thumbing through the daily newspaper or your favorite magazine or maybe browsing your local greeting card store, you may stumble across a cartoon or a comic strip that makes you chuckle. The art of drawing cartoon people, superheroes, and villains has been around for centuries. But what goes into creating these fascinating characters and scenes? Steve Nyman, a cartoon artist, is here to share some insights into the world of this entertaining art form. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
This is great to have you here. So, you are an expert in many different areas of cartooning and comic book and illustrating and everything.
Yes.
Can you talk to me a little bit about them?
Okay, well...
maybe give us some examples.
There's different examples of different areas that a cartoonist might work in. There's animation, that would be an animation cell that you would see in TV and movies.
Now, is this kind of the hand-drawn animation?
This is hand-drawn animation. A lot of animators are using computers now to do their drawings. So if you see a movie like, for example, Meet the Robinsons, it's all computer animated.
And now, is that something that you've adjusted to as well? Because I know that's relatively recent. You're using the computer?
What I'll do is I'll do the drawing by hand still, but I use the computer to do the coloring.
Oh, so merging those two.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Now, what do we have here?
That's a comic strip that would be in a newspaper, and
It's so big.
Yeah, you could see the difference in the size. The artist draws nice and big, so they could draw all the detail, and then when it's shrunk down smaller to the size of a newspaper, it looks a lot more detailed.
I always wondered, I thought, people's eyes must cross having to draw it that small, but this makes sense. So drawn this size and then it's shrunk down. Oh, that's really neat. Now, what do we have over here?
And this is comic book art, and you can see the difference in the size of an actual comic book page compared to the size of the actual comic book. And again, the reason the artist will draw so much larger is it gives them the opportunity to draw all the details.
I see. So we've got a comic book here, and our comic strip was over here.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, wow, that's great. All right, and then we've got examples of your other work here as well. And I know a lot of this can be used for many different purposes. I mean, in addition to the comic books and the cartoons and things like that, where else might we find this kind of illustration? Well,
people use them for designs on coffee mugs, on calendars, T-shirt designs, posters. You go into any of the schools, children's books. So there's a lot of different areas that a cartoonist might try to do sketches for. And it's a fun job because it's always something different that the artist will work on, creating different stories and different humorous ideas.
Yeah, this is great. This is one that you created in terms of a comic book example, correct? Or comic strip example.
Comic strip, yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, with cartoonists, when they're creating a comic strip or a comic book, are they creating the text as well, or just the pictures?
Sometimes they'll come up with the ideas as well. These stories I came up with on my own. Usually with comic books, there's a writer involved, and you're illustrating whatever the writer is thinking. And there's a lot of continuity in the stories where they're continued, so a lot of times the artist doesn't get to decide on what they want to draw. They have to draw exactly what the writer is telling them to do.
Now that leads me to my next question, which would be, what are the skills that you need to be able to be the type of artist that you are?
Well, I would recommend, there's a lot of drawing websites out there that a child might go to see how cartooning is done. There's a lot of books at like Barnes & Noble on cartooning, how-to books that they didn't have when I was a kid. And practice is very important. The more they practice, the better they'll get at their drawings.
Always.
So put down the Game Boy and, do a little sketching yourself,
Were you always interested in it?
Yes, yeah. Always drawing people, animals, buildings, that kind of stuff.
Really?
Yeah, yes.
I can't help but flip through your books here. You've got so many great examples of work that you've done, and all types of caricatures and comic strips. What really makes it that unique art?
I would say you develop your own style the more you do it, and You always have favorite artists that you always will look at and try to make them inspire you in creating your work.
Yeah?
Yes.
Huh. So tell me a little bit about the technology. How does that work?
Well, right now, if I want to color a drawing that I've done, I'll scan it into the computer, and I'll use a tablet and a pen, and the pen is sort of like a mouse. Okay.
Really?
And I'll trap certain areas, and I'll fill them in with the color.
So you've got kind of a screen in front of you.
Yes.
Like a notepad.
Yes.
And you're able to write on that, and it goes right into the computer.
Yes, yes.
So that still gives you that hand-drawn control.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Exactly.
So what are some of the disadvantages, would you say?
The disadvantages are that sometimes you spend more time on something than you would normally spend.
Really?
Yeah.
You spend more time on it?
Yeah.
Really? Why is that?
Because you're saving the programs and,
Oh, I see.
and then
Rendering
editing it. Yeah.
So that's so funny,
Yeah.
too, because the technology is supposed to save the time, and yet... Well, I know you're going to be drawing a cartoon character for us today.
Okay.
So what makes this different than just your random sketching? You know what I mean? Somebody who just sketches something.
Well, everything comes out of my head. So if I'm creating a cartoon character, okay, I don't really have to think about it too much. I kind of go right into it, and basically, by the time I'm done with it, it kind of looks like a funny picture you would see in the newspaper or in a comic book page. And I have fun doing it, so it's not something I have to kind of even think about too much, So, eventually...
And it's true, when you see pictures like this or things like this, they really have an emotion to them.
Yeah.
If you're going through a comic strip with action heroes, you get that feeling of tension and strength.
Exactly.
When you're looking at something that's a comic strip, your artistry is able to create that emotion just through the pictures. Oh, look at him. He is so cute. I want to share this with everybody. Oh, my goodness. How cute is that? That kind of talent, that's amazing. Now, any tips for kids who are interested, who think, this is what I want to do?
Well, the thing is, first, you have to have an imagination. You have to have the ability to create these characters out of your head. Another thing that's important is observing, looking at things around you, people, animals, buildings. The more you observe details around you, the better you'll get at your drawings. And then the third thing is practice. The more you practice at your drawings, the better they'll be.
So encourage them, encourage their imagination, encourage them to practice.
Exactly.
Wow. So before we go, I know you're a caricature artist as well.
Yes.
What's the difference, would you say, between a cartoonist and a caricature artist?
Well, caricature is mainly drawing people, so you're trying to pick up the personality of the person's face and their expression, and maybe somebody will look at it and know that's that person. Where cartooning is just basically telling stories or using a picture to communicate an idea.
Can you show me an example of one of your favorite caricatures?
Caricature, okay. Yeah, so over here is Larry King. Okay.
Oh, what a great, that's just wonderful. Look at that. Look at him. That's wonderful. Steve, thanks so much for being here today.
Okay, thank you.
So much great work, and this was so much fun to play with. Thank
Thanks.
you.